right, welcome back to Last of the Wild Men. Let's just recap what we were going through last week. We started in on the story of Iron John, or Iron Hans is the original from the Brothers Grimm. The story's evolved over the years. Robert Bly put out a great book called Iron John, which is what we're going through. So basically, we're going to pick up the story and start digging into more about that wild man archetype, what's lacking in our modern day society for men who feel this pull. And so basically we looked at last week just taking the time and the awareness to bucket out the water to actually see that there's something else inside, that there's this wild man, this hairy beast, this intuitive, instinctual part of us that we don't even know is there. And then we pull him out in the story. Iron John gets pulled out, put in a cage, and he's put in a kingdom. And that's kind of where we left off. So let's go through the next part of the story. So now Iron John, this wild man, this hairy, I guess modern day would be a Bigfoot, right? That's what he looks like. They've got him in this cage in the kingdom, and the king and queen's son, he comes out and he's got this golden ball that he plays with every day, and he's in the courtyard, and he's playing with his ball, and it rolls into the cage of the wild man. And so he's scared of this wild man. So he goes up to look at it, and then he runs away. So he doesn't get that ball. Comes back the next day, comes up to the wild man, says, can I have my ball? And the wild man's like, sure, I'll give you your ball. Just get me the key and let me out of this cage. He's like, no, I can never do that. My father forbids it. And so then he runs away again. Third day, he comes back, and he once again comes up to the cage, really wants that golden ball back. And he's like, can I please have my golden ball? And the wild man is like, sure, like I told you, I'd love to give it back. Just let me out of the cage. And he's like, I can't. I won't even know where to begin. I don't even know where the key is. I don't know how to let you out. And he's like, okay. He's like, the key is under your mom's pillow. Just fetch the key, come back, and let me out. And so this time, the third time, the boy's like, man, I really want that ball back. So he's like, okay. So he goes and he finds this key, comes back, lets the wild man out. And as he's letting him out of the cage, it's big, heavy bars. He pinches his finger, gets this wound on his finger, which we'll play in later on down the story. And then he lets the wild man out, and the wild man starts to take off. And he goes, wait, like, I'm going to get in trouble for this. Like, you can't just leave me here. When they come back and not find you, it's going to be blamed on me, and my life is going to be ruined. And the wild man's like, you're right. Hop on my shoulders. He's like, I'm taking you with me. So then he grabs the boy, puts him on his shoulders, and takes him out to the wilderness. And as they're going on this path out to the wilderness, he says to the boy, you can never see your mom and dad again, but don't worry, I have plenty of gold and silver, plenty of wealth, more than anybody else, more than you could ever need. So you don't need to worry about that. And so he takes him into the wilderness and takes him to the stream and cut. We're going to cut it there because there's so much in this that we really need to dig into. So we've got this boy, right? We're all these children with this golden ball. Well, the golden ball is that kind of radiance, that innocence that children have, right? Like we have this ability when we're young, when we're whole. It's like we're not fully awake or conscious to the world, and we're this innocent light that's going around glowing, and we don't really recognize good or bad yet, or right or wrong. And that's the gold ball that rolls into the cage, and we lose that 8, 9, 10. Sometimes if it's not in elementary, it's in junior high, and if we're still hanging on to it there, it's gone by high school. And so that ball is a representation of this boy trying to get that innocence back, right? And the funny thing is, the irony is, that wholeness that we're lacking, or that void that we might be feeling that we used to have when we were young, actually exists in the realm of the wild man. It's in his cage. It's in this magnetic gravity towards the wild man. And that's what we start to go seeking for, which leads into the boy goes up the first time and asks for his ball back, right? So let's think that boy's in his teens, right? He goes and asks. So day one, modern day, that's a child, a boy just becoming a man. So starting to move into his teenage years, ask for that ball. Well, he doesn't even ask the first time. He's just afraid of what this hairy wild man is. And so he runs away. Day two comes along, and he comes up and asks, well, For your modern day man, day 2 might be 10 years later. So now you're 25, 26, you're starting to feel this pull, and you go and ask for that ball back, but you're like, man, I've got a wife, I've got a kid on the way, I own a house, I've got 2 vehicles. I can't let the wild man out. Like there's no way, like it's too scary. So then you run away again. And then the boy comes back day 3, and this time has a conversation with the wild man. And that could parallel to modern day 35-year-old, 40-year-old man who comes back. And if you've ever seen one who's, or maybe you felt this way, that you've just got this look of dismay on your face, you're overworked, you're feeling empty inside, you're doing all the right things, but there's still something lacking or missing. That's the 3rd day where this boy comes up to encounter the wild man. And this time, he's like, well, I want to let you out. Like, I want to figure this out, but I don't even know where to begin. Like, I don't even know how to get started, where to go. And the wild man this time says, well, you need to get the key. And where is the key? Now the key is found under the mother's pillow. So what does that represent? When we look at rites of passage, again, this is what's lacking in modern days. We're looking at men, or I should say boys, need to separate from the men. We're born of a woman, but we're not feminine. So at some point, we can't just be an extension of the mother. We've got to cut ties from the mother and start to become a man. So that key to the wild man is underneath the mom's pillow, meaning we've got to sever that tie from mom. And that pillow could represent everything that our moms dream about, like, oh, my son the lawyer, my son the doctor, my son's going to be this amazing Wall Street trader, like all these huge ambitions that your mom has for you that maybe were never yours. And you've got to go and take that key from that and sever that tie to the feminine. And it's not even just severing the tie to the mother, it's severing the tie to the feminine inside of each one of us men, that still is that boy who wants to be coddled, wants the comfort, wants the safety and security. It's severing a tie to that part of you so that you can step forth and learn from the wild man and become a man. These are really strong aspects of rites of passage that traditions around the world have known for thousands of years, and yet we don't have that in our world anymore. So it's a very symbolic part of it. And so now he learns, okay, I've got to cut that tie. So even for us men in modern days, we might be 40 years old before we're starting to realize that we never did cut that tie. We never did sever that part, not just to our physical mothers, but to that part of ourself that just craves that security, that comfort, and that society is telling us that we should have, right? Now, so he gets the keys. He's now going against his mother. He's cutting that tie. He unlocks it, pinches his finger. He lets the wild man out. The wild man takes him on his shoulders, takes him away from the castle, and says, you can't return. This is now you're completely separated from your mother and your father, but I have plenty of gold and silver, more than you could ever need. And as he's taking him on this journey, he didn't only just sever that tie to the mother, he also severed it to the father. And that's kind of stage 2 going through rites of passage, is first it's to sever the tie to the mother, and then it's to sever the tie to the father, which leads you into the 3rd stage of an elder or a shaman or this wild man to start to foster you into this adult life as a male, into this manhood that you can't grow into manhood. You have to be initiated. You have to be shown the way. It doesn't just happen naturally. And that severing to the father, you can also look at as not following in just your father's footsteps, but not just your father physically, but symbolically with society and the things you're supposed to do and the path you're supposed to take. And that needs to be severed. And the wild man is going to start to teach that there's more to that. Maybe that's not your path. Maybe that's what you're looking for. And so he goes with this wild man, and he's scared, right? At first, he's like, I'm scared of this hairy man. It's untamed. It's connected to nature. There is nothing secure out here. It's a scary path. And that is what we're missing. I think a lot of us men, we hit that decade of 35, 45 years old, and we're just like, we're doing everything right. Like, we're providing, we're advancing our careers, we're taking care of our kids, but there's still something feeling off. And if you pay attention to this story, you're starting to see, what have we not been told? What have we not been in tune with? What have we never taken the time to bucket out and see what's existing inside of us, that part of us that we're not fully in touch with, because we're not supposed to be. It's supposed to be caged. It's supposed to be tame. It's supposed to be clean. We're all clean shaven. We take all the hair off of our bodies because we feel shameful of it. But the wild man doesn't do that. The wild man is connected. He's wild. And I'm not here to tell you that we become the wild man. It's we don't just become this instinctual, chaotic, biological creature that just goes and does whatever he wants. I'm talking about being integrated with it and bringing it into who we are, because it doesn't help to just cage him up. We need to be in tune with the wild man stands his ground. The wild man looks out for nature. The wild man protects the animals. There's a morality to him. There's this wildness, this fierceness. There's this hairiness to him, this unbridled power that people are afraid of, right? And we need to be more in touch with that, especially as men. And I think that's what men are being called to, is like, there's parts of me that I'm not allowed to show. I'm especially not allowed to say it. Not in today's day and age. You have to watch what you say. And I think that's starting to come back, and men are looking for that. And that's why rites of passage are so important, especially to have a brotherhood of men who feel the same and are going through the same thing on the same path. So we're gonna end it there. Again, another short piece of the story. And then we're gonna pick up next week with going into the wild and what he starts to learn from this wild man. And so, yeah, it's time to start learning a few of these things and bringing back some of these old stories and digging in and figuring out who we really are and how to become whole, I guess is the point of this. That's why I'm out here. That's why I'm out in nature. When I think about the wild man, I'm like, I'm so busy on the computer. I'm so busy doing all this stuff at a desk. How many hours a day? How many weeks out of a year? How many years in a row? And we forget that there's a large part of us that's not supposed to just be in that clean shaven world, that we also exist out in the wild, and we're built for that. And so it's time to come back into understanding what that means and how to integrate both, because it's not one or the other. It's learning how to embrace both aspects of that and make that work in today's day and age. So that's segment 2. We will see you next Friday with the next part of the story. All right, catch you later.